Fits of jealous rage.
Fits of crazy jealous rage.
Amos was having fits of divine inspiration.
Because he had a fit of anger.
You're telling me that in a fit of jealousy, you wrote your wife a love letter?
I didn't mean it. Just the green monster of jealousy came.
Believe that someone else in a fit of jealousy or rage.
Legend has it, Malcolm killed them both in a fit of jealousy, buried them in the walls.
Derive just as much pleasure from
A sexual fetishist who derives erotic pleasure from dress.
And deny me the simple pleasure I'd have to...
The older, less intelligent one seems to derive...
You derive just as much pleasure from killing.
Now, any pleasure I derive from that is entirely dependent upon whether...
And she is deriving intense pleasure from her newfound notoriety.
But he's never derived true pleasure from it.
Derive just as much pleasure from...
I used to derive such pleasure from killing, but now...
Going back on a promise would mean breaking the Rousseauvian social contract.
He never goes back on his promise. Right, Jan?
Aren't you going back on that promise now?
Poppy, you know you can't go back on a pinky promise.
You're gonna go back on your promise?
Promise to never go back on that promise. In fact, let's...
It's disparaging, disrespectful.
Insults were hurled, mothers disparaged.
Kind. Disparaging.
That's for going back on your promise.
You're going back on your promise.
I didn't disparage. There was no disparage. I didn't disparage. There was no disparage. I didn't disparage. There was no disparage.
Oh. Disparaging me at every turn.
Why would I disparage a company that...
The firefighter, after disparaging remarks.
Never disparage your own child.
Exactly what do you mean by that disparaging remark?
Especially disparaging remarks directed at...
How about you apologize to Roxy and all the other fine ladies here tonight for your disparaging remarks? Was that a negative, disparaging remark about my son? About my Billy?
A harebrained product like this?
I am the one taking the brunt for your harebrained scheme.
Get into a scuffle with NCIS over some harebrained notion?
Oh, it's some harebrained scheme I came up with, eh?
Say that's the silliest, most harebrained scheme I've ever heard of.
I don't care for that kind of disparaging remarks.
Harebrained mother.
Why, you thick-skulled, harebrained, half-witted greenhorn.
You realize, Ryan, of all our harebrained schemes...
Second one. Yep. Sort of a harebrained.
Whatever harebrained scheme you're up to...
For the most insane, harebrained, foolproof scheme ever.
He was referred to as by the Saudi consulate, that harebrained idea of mine, I think you called it.
Miss Fossey, that was undoubtedly the most foolhardy, the most harebrained, lunatic thing I've ever heard of.
He's probably hatching some harebrained scheme.
And it's not some harebrained scheme that I cooked up with my friends.
Any news about China is an instant page turner.
You really have to finish that whole book by tomorrow?
Yeah, but it's a page turner.